Guys, my name's Thomas O'Regan and today I'm doing a video on rent vesting, how and why to do it. I'll also give a few examples of my actual personal situation in rent vesting. I currently rent vest and this is the entrepreneur journey, the road to making $1 million. I'm building $1 million company in property investing, and currently over the last 3.5 years, I've built a property portfolio of 8 properties with me and my wife. So let's get into this. The point of rent investing is to live where you want to live and invest in investment grade properties to get to financial freedom. So some of the things that, or some of the reasons that it's beneficial to buy investment properties rather than just one personal place of residence, which is your dream home or it's in the ideal location where you want to live, is because market cycles in different areas are different. Generally, a property market cycle ranges over a 10-year period. And that means that where you live might not always be at the best time of the market cycle to own a property. Okay, so for example, I invest interstate and the Perth market operates differently than the New South Wales market. And again, it operates differently. They all operate differently, and the Victorian market operates differently as well. Okay, so when properties in Victoria are at the point where they're about to grow, they might not be growing in Sydney. So basically, if you're a smart investor, you want to be aware of these property market cycles, and the point where you want to buy is at the bottom of the market cycle. So the property that you're buying has the most chance to grow in value. So typically people, they don't like, I guess, moving their whole life based on a property market cycle, okay? They don't like going and buying their dream home at the bottom of a property market cycle and then selling it at the top of the market. Like people don't like basing their whole life around a property market cycle. Most people just like to live where they want to live and then just stay there, which is fine. But if you're to create wealth through property, you have to understand the market cycles and invest accordingly. Okay, so that's the market cycles, and buying investment properties in the best part of the market cycle is what you want to do. Additionally, the dream home, if you're investing in properties like I do, I buy investment properties that are cash flow positive or cash flow neutral. They have to be at least the whole property portfolio has to at least be cash flow neutral. But that means that when I buy a property, it's going up at the same value as it would if I was to buy a dream home, okay? Or like a property, like an ideal place to live in. And let's call that 5% per annum. So my current portfolio is 3.5 million. Sorry, I'm buying a few more properties currently, but they haven't settled yet. So it's just currently 3 million. So if my properties are growing at $3 million per year, that means, if my property portfolio is $3 million and it's growing at a 5% compounding rate per year, that means in the first year, it's growing at $150,000. Now, let's break down the numbers on this. If I was to buy a dream home, or if I was to buy a dream home in my ideal location for $3 million, the mortgage repayments would cost 175 grand, and that's at a 6.5% interest rate, and that's interest only. I wouldn't be paying any principal on that mortgage, because if I was, then the repayments would be even higher. But let's just pretend we're buying our dream home and we're paying interest only. and we're not paying off any of the debt. Okay, so the mortgage, 175 grand a year. And then we have the expenses. And now as a renter, you don't have to pay these expenses. So I'm just gonna throw in a few expenses that as a homeowner you would need to pay, right? So obviously you need to get your house painted, you need to keep it maintained, you need to like reno it if it needs renoing, you need to fix the doors, all that sort of stuff. It would just go into a rent repair and maintenance fund. You'd also need to pay council rates and other things like that. Let's just call it a very conservative 15 grand. So you would have to pay let's just call the total expenses for your dream home per year is the interest on the mortgage and the running cost, the expenses. So 15 grand plus 175 grand, you've got 190 grand there. So let's compare that to my investment portfolio. Okay, so again, the investment portfolio, let's just make it simple. It's growing at the same rate as the dream home, which is 5% per year. So the investment portfolio that I currently own is growing at 150 grand per year, and the expenses on it are nothing because it's cash flow neutral or positive. Currently, the portfolio is cash flow positive, about $10,000 a year. And then, so you could say like the portfolio is growing at 160 grand per year. But okay, but then obviously I have to rent, right? I don't own my dream home, I have to rent now. Okay, yeah, fine, I have to rent, but how much is the rent costing in my dream location? Okay, so I go to my dream location and I rent a property, which I currently am. The rent is 35 grand per year. Okay, so if I take my positive cash flow from my investment portfolios and I minus that off my rent, that means I'm paying 25 grand per year. Okay, so in total, I've got 150 grand worth of growth and it's costing me 25 grand per year. That's pretty good, right? That means in total, my investment portfolio is through my lifestyle, through the fact that I'm renting myself, the total profit each year that I'm making is 125 grand. Now let's compare that to the buying a dream home situation. So we've got the expenses and the interest on the loan totaling 190 grand. The property is growing at the same rate as the investment portfolio, meaning 150 grand per year. Okay, so kind of seems like it's costing you per year out of your own pocket, it's costing you 190 grand per year. And then it's going to grow as well, which obviously you'll get back when you sell the property, but not immediately. So you're going to need to come up with 190 grand per year. And then the fact is, even after all the growth the property has, it is the dream home is still costing you 40 grand per year because you're paying 190 grand per year, which is a lot of money to come up with each year. Additionally, the property is growing at 150 grand per year, which you don't even get. Like you don't even get the 150 grand until you sell it. So each year you will lose, to own your own dream home, you are losing 40 grand. Like that's why you have to do the numbers, guys. Like you have to work out what, if you are trying to create financial freedom for yourself, if you're trying to become financially free, if you're trying to build a life where you don't have to work anymore and you can just rely on your investments, you have to do the numbers. So to be completely honest with you, my dream home currently costs about $10 million. And I would much prefer to invest heavily at this stage of my life and then buy my dream home that way than whatever other way there is ultimately there isn't really another way, like unless I got, say I could get a really high, one other route would be I could get a really high paying job and then pay, like 90% of my income to own the home. But I'm just trying to, I'm trying to get ahead of it, and build my investment portfolio as quickly as possible, and then let my investment portfolio buy my dream home in cash outright. So basically, always, when you're thinking about buying a dream home or not, always do the numbers. I'll tell you a story. When I started investing, or I wouldn't even call it investing, but when I started buying properties, I thought it was the best way to invest was to buy houses to live in. So I started buying houses to live in, but I was on a very low income. So I started buying houses to live in where I could afford. The problem with that was, one, it was the ghetto. So I really didn't like living there, but I was just making the sacrifices to do what I had to buy properties at the time. And two, the property was in the wrong time of the market cycle, meaning I could have, if I was investing in investment properties, I would have bought a property that was in the right time of the cycle, because buying an investment properties is a decision you make based on numbers and facts, not emotion. It doesn't have any bearing on your lifestyle. So I would buy investment properties like that now, but at the time I was just buying something that was ideal for me to live in, which was whatever I could afford. It was not an ideal investment. The property itself, I bought a few properties in that area. The properties did not go up in value, and which was shit. And also it was in the ghetto, so lifestyle was terrible, and I didn't make any money from it. So I've obviously developed my strategy a lot from there. I buy investment grade properties now that are cash flow positive and grow a lot in value at a 5% compounding rate, or if they're about to, if it's about to go into a hot market, they generally go up a lot more than that. Okay, so live where you want to live, enjoy your lifestyle, treat yourself, have a good life, and rent, and then build up wealth in the background until you can afford your dream home. Because unless I can't, like, if I was to, first of all, if I didn't invest at all, I wouldn't even be able to buy a $3 million dream home today. But the fact is, I have invested over the last 3.5 years, so I could afford a $3 million dream home, which is not my dream home, but my point is, I could afford a $3 million home in my ideal location where I want to live, where I'm currently renting. But I don't, because I want to create more wealth so I can buy the actual dream home. But then I'm trying to get to the point where that dream home isn't so taxing on my finances. Okay, so, and that's all done through investing. Over the last 3.5 years, I built a property portfolio. I've grown $1 million in equity, and there's no way that you can make those sort of numbers happen in such a short time frame buying homes that are ideal to live in. Rentvesting, it's hard to get your head around, but if you really crunch down on the numbers, you will ultimately be propelling yourself to financial freedom and wealth creation a lot faster than if you buy houses to live in. All right, guys, cheers, bye.